Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose. And Blizzard had a huge day today. They had Blizzcon where they made some major announcements, which we'll go over, of course. But a big part of this is actually the inclusion of Xbox. This is their first BlizzCon together, and Phil Spencer, he did make an appearance on stage, and he once again confirmed what I have been hoping for with this buyout all along. This is honestly huge news for anybody who likes Blizzard, or really just anybody who likes Activision games that aren't Call of Duty, and I'm going to explain why here in just a little bit. Then also, there's been a lot of back and forth this week on the Bungie Sony situation. They, of course, were hit with layoffs, and now fans are trying to figure out who's to blame here. Is it Sony or is it Bungie? Well, according to a new report, Sony might have actually saved Bungie, but I think that raises some other questions as well. Before we get started, though, do make sure to subscribe and ring that bell. That way, every time I post a new video, it'll be delivered directly to your device. It makes it just a little bit easier to stay updated, so don't forget to hit those buttons. With that said, though, let's just go jump right into the video, starting off with Sonic. Yesterday, of course, there was a big story that Sega wants Sonic to be bigger than the Mario franchise. Now, again, I understand that fans might laugh at that when they first hear it, because in all likeliness, it's probably not going to ever happen. But like I said before, I like this mentality, that competitive drive, that competitive spirit. If it keeps Sega motivated to make better games and to take more chances, then yeah, more power to them. I am all for that. Just look at Sonic Frontiers as an example. It's a completely new direction for the franchise. They are trying something different, and well, it seems like it has been a huge success for Sega. According to Sega themselves, Sonic Frontiers has officially sold 3.2 million units worldwide. Now, that might not necessarily be Mario type of numbers, but it really doesn't have to. It still is a big success for Sonic, and that's what we should truly want to see. The fact that Sega is trying to reinvigorate this franchise with fresh new ideas, and as we're seeing here, they're also having success, this is only going to encourage them even more to spend the time and to put the budget forth to make a truly top-tier Sonic game. So just big congrats to Sega, and really big congrats to Sonic fans here. Sounds like the Sonic franchise right now has a bright future ahead. Now, also, here's something really interesting. Silent Hill 2 right now is one of, if not the most anticipated horror game, but so far, we know very little about this game. They've not really shown a lot of gameplay, and we still have no idea as to when it will actually release, but hang on here, sounds like that might change in the imminent future. Interestingly enough, over the last couple of days, pre-orders have started to go live on GameStop, Amazon, and Video Games Plus. Now, if you remember right, back in September, something very similar happened with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Pre-orders just started to suddenly go live at multiple retailers, and then shortly after that, well, we got a new PlayStation State of Play where they revealed a ton of new gameplay, including, yes, its release date. So if you put two and two together here, maybe something similar might happen with Silent Hill 2 Remake, and, well, the Game Awards is right around the corner, so could it maybe be announced there? I think that that's certainly possible, or who knows, maybe they could even announce it sooner than that. Last year, Konami had a Silent Hill event, so we can't necessarily rule that out either, but one way or the other, no matter where it happens, some more Silent Hill 2 information could be inbound. Okay, so let's go and talk about BlizzCon, though, and we'll first start this off with the major game announcements because they had a lot here. There was really a little bit of something here for most Blizzard fans out there, starting off with Overwatch. Overwatch 2 is getting a new tank hero named Malga. Now, admittedly, I haven't played this game in a while, but it was one of my favorite games for a very long time. My wife actually still plays it to this day. She's a big fan. So these character announcements, they still get me hyped up sometimes, and Malga, he legitimately looks insane. He's a hit scan character that can use too many guns. That is pretty cool. Now, I've always preferred hit scan characters myself, so that immediately caught my attention, and his abilities, they look crazy good as well. He has a charge ability similar to Reinhardt, but it seems to have more mobility to it. And his ultimates, you can actually trap people by chaining them together. That's going to be a super good ultimate to start a combo off with. If you want to try Mauga out, though, you can actually try him out yourself right now for a short period of time. I believe he's available for today only, and then his official release is on December 5th with the completely new season. So there you go. If you're an Overwatch fan, that's something to look forward to. Now, for you Diablo fans out there, they also teased Diablo 4's first expansion, Vessel of Hatred, and now we have a rough idea as to what to expect. It is planned for a late 2024 release and will continue where the story left off. Now, that's actually something that I've talked about in the past because there was some reviews that mentioned Diablo 4's story felt unfinished, and that's because, well, it technically is. This is a live service game, and the story will probably continue for years to come. It's almost set up like an MMO where it's going to get these continuous big expansions to its story and its world. And actually about that, this expansion also includes a new region that you can explore, and also a completely new class never before seen in the Diablo universe. So it's sounding pretty good, and I think Diablo 4 is back on track once again. Speaking of MMOs, though, of course, we can't forget about World of Warcraft. The last big announcement here was for World of Warcraft, and in a bit of a surprise here, its co-creator Chris Metzen announced his return to the series, and what's next for the future. He not only announced one new expansion here, but he actually announced 3 total expansions, which will be a part of the World Soul Saga. He noted that they intend to get these expansions out much quicker than they've done in the past, and it sounds like they'll come in rapid succession, maybe a year or so apart. We'll see how that works out. But if you like World of Warcraft, there's a lot to look forward to right now. I think something that's kind of interesting to maybe keep an eye on, though, is that Xbox acquisition. There was nothing announced here today, but I do wonder if maybe, now that it is under the Xbox umbrella, I wonder if they'll finally get World of Warcraft on console. This has been a long time request for fans, and I do wonder if that'll finally become a reality sometime here soon. I mean, you have Final Fantasy XIV on consoles, so World of Warcraft, I'm just saying, it can work. Let's get that on console as well. That was a big story here today, though, because this is the first BlizzCon under the Xbox umbrella, and Phil Spencer did appear on stage today, and he said something that I think everybody should be super excited about. So he said, now that Blizzard is a part of Xbox, we will nurture the essence of what makes Blizzard unique. We're going to empower our new colleagues to continue what they do best, redefining existing genres and creating new, never-before-seen experiences in Azeroth, in Near Future Earth, in Sanctuary, and beyond. The future of Blizzard is brighter than ever. Now, the reason this statement is so exciting starts off with the very first thing that he said. Quote unquote, now that Blizzard is a part of Xbox, we will nurture the essence of what makes Blizzard. We're going to empower them. That is the key part to this acquisition. Blizzard is being set free. We no longer have to call Blizzard Activision Blizzard. They're just simply Blizzard now. And that's significant. Xbox is starting to make it crystal clear that they're reinstating Blizzard's creative freedom once again with this acquisition. See, it's not some huge secret that Activision, at times, may have interfered with Blizzard, which may have impacted their games in a negative way. But the thing about Xbox, and we're seeing it here, is that they're the opposite of Activision. They take a hands-off approach with their studios. They give their first-party studios freedom. They empower them to do what they do best. And Phil Spencer, he's already indicated that a few different times. That's what they want to do with not only Blizzard, but with Activision as well. See, the thing about this acquisition is that you always hear about consolidation, Call of Duty, possible exclusivity, and Xbox Game Pass. Those are really the 4 big narratives that you mostly hear about online. But for me, the big thing about this acquisition is none of that. Yeah, Game Pass is a nice bonus. I'm going to enjoy that myself. But the big thing for me is the diversity that this could possibly bring. Under Activision's leadership, they have mostly become a Call of Duty factory. Under Xbox, though, and this might take some time, you're going to need some patience here. Games take a long time to make, but all of these studios now have an opportunity to break out from their current mold and to create the games that they truly want to make. That includes games like StarCraft, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Guitar Hero, Hexen, and the list just kind of goes on and on and on, or they can make completely new IP if they want. Do you remember the days when Raven was allowed to make their own creative games like Singularity instead of being shoehorned onto Call of Duty? Well, with this acquisition, there's a chance that they'll be allowed to do that once again. So this is why I'm saying that all Blizzard fans should be extremely excited right now. Blizzard and also all those Activision studios, they have their freedom again, and now they can simply focus on how to make the best games that they possibly can. Now, since we're on the topic of acquisitions, though, let's go and get into this Bungie-Sony situation. What exactly is happening over there? As we know, there's been some layoffs and some game delays, or those are rumored currently. But one of the questions is, whose fault is it? Well, apparently, according to a new report by Forbes, the situation could actually be a lot worse if it wasn't for Sony. This is what they said. Internally, really no one is blaming Sony for this, even management. Some employees were told that if the Sony buyout did not happen, that with the current Destiny 2 performance, the studio itself would have been in jeopardy if they were still independent. So I hear this, and this really kind of tells me two different things. One is that Bungie is not doing good right now, and Sony, in a way, they actually kind of saved them. Without having a parent company that can help fund Bungie in a tough situation like this, the situation might be even more dire than what it already is. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that Sony made some great decision, though, because it also does raise some questions for the acquisition itself. Sony dropped $3 billion for Bungie. The price they paid has always been a little bit surprising. That's a ton of money for a single studio with just one single IP. So, I mean, you know there's high expectations for Bungie to perform inside of Sony, and not just that, but one of the other reasons they purchased Bungie in the first place is to lead their first-party studios into a new live service direction. Bungie was never acquired for PlayStation exclusivity. They remain a multi-platform studio, but here we are shortly after that acquisition, and they themselves, they're struggling. So you have to kind of wonder what Sony's leadership is thinking when they just purchased this studio for $3 billion and they're not performing up to their expectations. But I think the results kind of speak for itself here. Bungie's currently not meeting the expectations that Sony had in mind when they first acquired a studio like Bungie for $3 billion. Now, hopefully, Bungie will turn things around here sometime soon. They're such a great studio historically, so I do hope they bounce back when they do get that eventual Destiny 2 expansion out. And even with Marathon, hopefully that turns out to be a great game and they bounce back in a better way than ever before. But it is very clear that both Bungie and Sony together needs to find a way forward. They need to figure out how to get them back on track and how to get the studio rolling once again. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, does Xbox having an ad as a part of its boot up for their next first-party release bother you? And the majority of you said no. 60% of you said no, and then 33% said yes. So that is a lot of yes votes, but still the vast majority of you seems fine with it, as do I. To me, this is a whole lot of nothing to complain about. I actually think that it's useful because not everybody is ingrained in gaming news like us. Not everybody knows when the next big first-party release is out, and this just kind of acts as a simple notification for people who are in the Xbox ecosystem, which, yeah, they might be interested to know when their next big game will release. It's kind of like booting to Netflix and they advertise the recent shows that they just added. Either way, you see it for a brief second, you press B, and then you move on with your merry old day. It's not even really a nuisance. To me, this just feels like complaining for the sake of complaining. But hey, it is what it is. We live in an outrage culture, and that's just kind of the internet for you. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode. But if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.